video you are about to see may cause distress and frustration. You may turn green with jealousy or be forced to look the other way.
On the other hand, some will get excited by what they see and will be challenged to create their own way of making their dream cruise come true.
Well, that very well may be, but let's allow John and Flo to tell us their story.
The Crystal Cruises Symphony was built in 1995 and refurbished about 4 years later in 2009. Holds around 940 passengers and has a crew of about 545. That's just about one crew member for every 2 passengers. On this particular cruise, there were less than 600 passengers, so the ratio was more like one crew member for every passenger. They have a 2-story plaza and cove lobby with atrium, 3,000 book library, a salon, spa, fitness center, paddle tennis courts, golf training areas, and of course many shops, a casino, and 3 large showroom theaters, as well as children and teen centers. I was there to teach the Passport to Music program and shared the teaching room with the bridge teacher. The music classes were held only on the days when we were at sea, so Flo and I had the opportunity of visiting almost all the port cities and surrounding areas. In this video, you will see many of the special places we had the privilege of visiting. But here's Flo to give you an overview of the ports that we visited on this once-in-a-lifetime trip. Flo, take it away.
Welcome to the video of our 2010 cruise on the deluxe top-of-the-line Crystal Cruise Symphony. It is a beautiful ship to see the world from and to create unforgettable memories. Here is an overview of the places we visited on this excursion.
We leave Los Angeles on Cathay Pacific for a long 14-hour flight to Hong Kong. The plane's business and first class section were a marvel, with seats that made into a bed. It kind of looked like a coffin. It was dark almost all the way due to the time changes. The coach class left much to be desired as the seats were tight and uncomfortable. Next time we'll have first class seats like these. But we arrived in Hong Kong about 7:30 in the morning and had a brief layover before boarding our plane to Singapore. There we were met by the Crystal Cruise staff, and we boarded a bus and took a brief scenic tour of Singapore. Seems to be quite an exciting city, and certainly worth a return trip in the future. Now we finally arrived at the Singapore port, where the Crystal Symphony was waiting for us to board. We would finally be on our way. From Singapore, we cruised the Strait of Malacca and on to Phuket, Thailand. Next, we cruised the Andaman Sea on our way to Rangoon, Myanmar, where we stayed overnight before cruising the Andaman Sea, then the Bay of Bengal, and the Indian Ocean for about 3 days. We then toured Cochin, India, cruised the Arabian Sea, and then toured Mumbai, that's the old Bombay in India. Again, we cruised the Arabian Sea for 2 days before reaching our final port of the first cruise. Dubai was a most unusual city, and we were able to spend 2 days while the other passengers disembarked and a new group came on board. After leaving Dubai, we cruised directly to Muscat, Oman, an unusual and hot city, and then on to Aqaba, Jordan, through the Sea of Aden, where the captain told us about the dangers of pirates in the area. In Aqaba, we had the opportunity of traveling to the unique city of Petra with its walls carved out of sandstone. Our next stop was Safaga, Egypt, where we stayed overnight and did some shopping before going through the Suez Canal. And then we landed in Alexandria, Egypt, where we took a bus trip to Cairo to see the pyramids and other sites. On the final leg of the trip, we cruised the Mediterranean Sea on our way to Athens, Greece, where we boarded our flight and headed back home to good old USA. The food and presentation was out of this world. It's worth the price of the cruise just to see, smell, taste, and enjoy each meal wherever served. Each dinner we sat with our assigned 4 table mates who we enjoyed getting to know. We also made new friends with some of the entertainers and other instructors on board. Our servers, one from Turkey and the other from India, served us throughout both of the cruises. Specialty restaurants had their own servers. We really enjoyed them all. On each cruise, the staff would introduce the chefs and then provide a marvelous buffet in the main lobby area. Here are some quick slides of some of the very special delicacies that were enticingly presented for the buffets.
I think what John enjoyed the most was the opportunity to share his love for music with the beginning students. He made it fun, exciting, and simple, and they all appreciated having this introduction to music using high-tech instruments and an integrated curriculum and a teacher who loved seeing them progress during the program. The classroom had a Yamaha digital piano and 20 full-size portable keyboards. Let's peep into a class in session.
Find a C with the pinky finger. And here we go. Left hand ready. Play. Now, we have been working on listening to sounds, giving them names, using fingers to play them, and we've talked a little bit about reminders or characters that we can look at that tell us which sound we want them to play. And we have this staff that we remember. Let's start with this little one here that has a short line through it. Anyone recognize what note that is? What note? That's when your thumb is on the red dot, your middle finger would be playing this note. It is E. You see it there? We've got an E that some of the songs start. Okay, now go back to home base. Well, that's good. Your pinky on the green. And then move to the blue. I'm sorry, turn left. Turn left at the shell station. Ready, play. Okay, ready, change. Slide your pinky left. Go back home. Stay there. Ready, change. And go back. 3 keys that we're going to be using. One more time. If you look at you all see full steam ahead there on page 36. Whenever you see that C in a square, now you can play your left hand single finger note G. Go ahead and play it for me. La, 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 rest, rest, rest. Change the G. Da, 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 rest, rest, rest. Stay there in the G. Da, 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 rest, rest, rest. Now go back to the C. Da, da, da. Bingo. Okay? Now the interesting thing is that not only will it play the harmony of it, but it will also put that harmony in rhythm. Listen to my keyboard for a moment. There's the F harmony. And C harmony.
Of course, John has to be a show-off and steal the show whenever possible. They should have known better than to let him out after dark.
Now, you know the people enjoyed his playing and singing. He has a gift to share, and people need to laugh and sing and dance. You know, don't worry, be happy.
I was recording.
All right, say it again.
Well, here we are in Safagao.
And we did bring some happiness to people, because on the ship, Flo and I had the opportunity to meet Marcy Castro, the lounge pianist, a very talented and very entertaining young lady. We all became good friends.
They needed us back
John
at the
has this
ship.
very expensive camera that he's showing all the people here, and they're enjoying looking at it.
But we've got to get back and be safe because we've got work to do.
And the cartouches.
The cartouches we got. Right.
We love Egypt. Beautiful Egypt. Beautiful.
And you want to hear what beautiful music we make together.
Love you, Arcadia.
She
love you,
is
Flo.
great. She is terrific.
We'll miss you, Flo. You better stay in touch.
I'll show you some of her playing, okay? We're coming right up.
And indeed, she was able to set up a special sing-along night for all the guests to attend. We had a great time enjoying the music. Check this out.
For me and my up in the sky. February, June, July.
dog is for sale. I must get ya, da, 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 and we because it was obsession. How much is that dog in the window? Wait, go back to Moisture, please. Moisture over there. How much is that? He's suspecting his dog. How much is that dog in the window? How much is that dog in the window?
We did have a lot of fun, but let's start our great adventure and move on to our first stop in Phuket, Thailand.
Well, you would not want to get lost in Phuket, Thailand. So many prostitutes, drugs, people getting robbed. Taxis are always scamming people.
Well, that may be true to a degree, but they advertise their wonderful hot weather, inexpensive massages, friendly, hospitable people, beautiful beaches, great coconut curries and spicy soups. Just stay out of the bad areas, and it's a lovely place to go.
Honey, please refresh our memory on how we got to Thailand.
We flew across the Pacific Ocean all the way to Hong Kong. Got off at Hong Kong and got another plane and flew down to Singapore, across the South China Sea. Then from Singapore, we went to Phuket, which is in Thailand.
And the map, there's no women.
This is in Thailand.
Thailand. Okay.
As Flo said, Phuket, Thailand is an island in the Andaman Sea, very close to the Thai mainland. It was here the 2004 devastating tsunami hit the west-facing beaches. Today, these beautiful beaches are dotted with five-star hotels. There are beautiful gold-colored temples everywhere. Let's check in with our tour bus guide as he teaches us how to say hi in Thai.
Culture. Something like you say, hi, hello. So I can say just the word sawadee. Say hi, hello, something like this. So we can make it polite by putting some words at the end. So Thai culture, for the Thai culture, it's absolutely different from European style. European style, when you say sir or ma'am, to make it polite, it depends on the people you talk with.
Right.
Like good morning, ma'am, or good morning, sir. That depends on the people you talk with. But for the Thai culture, it depends on the speakers. It depends on the speakers. So we separate between lady speakers and men speakers. For lady speaker, you should say Sawadee Ka. You put the word just K-A-K at the end for lady speaker to make it much more polite. And the word Ka, K-A-K, represent that you are lady speaker. Like we don't mind that you speak with man or woman. But if you are a lady speaker, you always say ka at the end. I put the word ka at the end, okay? Or something like thank you. And when we say this word, somebody ka or somebody crap for the Thai culture, we always do Y. W-A-I-Y. We put two palms together at the chest level and bend the head a little bit and say somebody crap and somebody ka instead of shaking hand.
Phuket is connected to the mainland by one bridge. This island has a long maritime history. In centuries past, Phuket was an important trading post on the eastern shore of the Bay of Bengal, handling shipping and dealing with the sailors from all around the Asian region. But by the 16th century, the island was well known to Europeans who competed with each other for trade. The island is covered with tropical flowers and rubber trees. The eastern shore is rocky, but the western shore has all the beautiful beaches and resorts. It was surprising at how large and clean the city was. The signage was a mismatch of English, Thai, Arabic, and Hebrew. Of course, this is a third world country, but yet it had its charm. As we rode on the bus, we could see open-air storefronts with absolutely no zoning ordinances that I could see. There were many thatched roof structures with blue tarps over the awnings. Buildings were not well maintained, and there was wild vegetation growing everywhere and on everything. Overall, the place was a lot cleaner than I had imagined. The people riding motor scooters would dart in and dart out. They were riding on the wrong side of the road and were everywhere like gnats. There were also scooters with side baskets attached with a whole bunch of kids in them, and they rode crazy too. It looked to be like a one-lane road in each direction, but they managed to squeeze 2.5 lanes out of it in each direction. It was pretty scary, but we had a good driver. Also, we were thankful for the air-conditioned bus that we were riding in. It sure made the trip a lot easier for us.
Okay, on your left, on your right-hand side again, this is one of the Chinese temple. There's a Chinese temple, there's a colorful one. Inside the Chinese temple, normally we're going to have a lot of different Chinese gods. The statue of the Chinese god and Chinese goddess. In every temple, we're going to have something like a security guards inside there, okay? You can take photos, that's no problem, okay? If you would like to visit into the inside the temple, when you go into the temple, could you please take your shoes off? Socks, not necessary. You can keep socks with you. Just take your shoes off. Pagoda. Normally, the pagoda, this is newly built. That's the most beautiful one. If you go inside this temple, you can see many things. On the first floor and on the second floor, you're gonna see inside. You're gonna see like a Buddha images in a different direction, like a sitting Buddha images. We try.
We had arrived at one of the spectacular Buddhist temples called Wat Chalong. This temple complex was made up of several temples. Each one was dedicated to a specific entity. The main temple was 3 stories tall with a very high steeple, very ornate, with lots of gold leafing. The bottom floor was filled with life-size golden Buddhas. You have to remove your shoes before entering any temple. We weren't excited about doing that, but we did. Take a moment and join us as we enter the temple and explore some of the interesting facets of this religion that is practiced by such a huge population of our world.
Dhamma mimang saranatta muktemi.
This is supposed to be the tomb of the original Buddha. It's very small, and you can't really see it, but supposedly it's in there. Well, this was our tour of the temple, but would you believe they had shops set up for the tourists on the temple grounds, and of course, Flo needed to check it all out. Our next stop took us to a mall. I've never seen anything like it. It was 3 or 4 stories, and it went in weird directions with moving sidewalks instead of escalators. One minute you're in a grocery store, the next in a clothes shop. There were no walls, so you couldn't tell where one store started and the other ended. There was one store that specialized in facial and partial massages for 60 minutes for only $10. Unfortunately, we didn't have the time, and we were, after all, needing to catch our bus before it left. We did stop long enough to take a picture of these pretty young ladies welcoming us to the mall, and later got a picture of Flo checking out the elephant and beautiful flowers. We ended this tour of Phuket, and next we were on our way to Yangon, Myanmar. Next we moved north to Yangon, Myanmar. Flo, show us how we got from Phuket to Yangon.
Here's Phuket. In the Andaman Sea. And then we went up here to
Purple Rangoon. Keep going.
Rangoon.
We docked at Yangon, Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, but we didn't get off the ship because Flo had hurt her side in exercise stretching classes earlier that week. Felt it would be too painful, and the 1-hour drive was extremely bumpy and would have caused her a lot of pain. Anyway, for political reasons, the USA had sanctions against Myanmar, and we couldn't have bought anything there anyway. Well, some of our friends did go into Yangon and had some interesting things to say about this country. The countryside was bleak and the poverty was staggering. There were slums and trash everywhere, and in between all the decay, there would be a pagoda, all glitzy and kept up. They finally arrived at the Shwedagon Pagoda. There, they said the shrines were of all sizes and all contained golden Buddhas, hundreds of them. On the wall behind many of the Buddha heads was a spinning disc with colored lights. It looked like something you'd find in Las Vegas. There were people praying in groups or individual. The main spire stands approximately 322 feet tall. The crown, or umbrella, which sits atop the spire, or stupa, is topped with 2,317 rubies, as well as 5,448 diamonds. The largest one there was 76 carats. There's gold leaf and more gold leaf. The people are so poor, and yet, they pray in splendor. For some reason, we did spend 2 nights in that port, but finally departed and went full steam ahead to Cochin, India.
Want to go to India? It's hot, muggy, lots of poverty, crowds of people, and the tours only take you to see the homes of the few rich people that live there.
But India has a rich historic culture that is enlightening to see. Beautiful, hard-working families and welcome the tourist with open arms. It's a trip worth remembering.
Now, Flo, please tell us how we got from Yangon to Cochin, India.
Down here, through the Bay of Bengal to Cochin.
This was over on the other side.
We came down past around Sri Lanka and over to Cochin. This is on the tip of India.
Early in the morning, we met in the Galaxy Room, where the agents from India checked our passports and looked at us face to face. We then took a bus to the Cochin area. Listen to our tour guide as he tells us about his wonderful country.
So I'll tell you a very few lines about my area. We're in the beautiful state called Kerala. Kerala, located on the southern western tip of the Indian peninsula. It's a narrow stretch of land. Both sides of the state of Kerala naturally separated. One side coastline, other side the mountains. So the coastline of the western border from north to south, 625 kilometers long stretch of Arabian Sea. And the other side, the eastern border, little longer, 675 kilometers. That's our mountain region we call as Western Ghats. Coastline and the mountains, natural borders. Maximum width west to east goes to mountain, only 140 kilometers. Narrow, thin. Easy to remember, my state Kerala looks like a chili shape.
The area of India, the peninsula state of Kerala, which our tour guide was telling us about, is called the Queen of the Arabian Sea. It's a major seaport area and exporter of teak wood and spices. Very hot and very muggy. Fortunately, the air conditioning on the bus was working good. Our tour took us to the old city called Fort Cochin. It's kind of dirty, crowded, and nothing has really been maintained. The sidewalk's concrete panels were raised, leaving large holes for people to disappear in. People got around on tuk-tuks, those three-wheeled motorized carts you see, motor scooters, or public bus. Sometimes there was standing room only, and many had no windows. Our first stop took us to the St. Francis Church. That's the oldest European church in India. Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese explorer, was buried here back in 1524. There is a heavy Portuguese influence in the art and architecture and culture here in Cochin. While we were visiting the St. Francis Church, many Indian families came to see this church that was built around the time Columbus discovered America. At the same time, this area was under the rule of Portugal and was named after Santo Antonio, the patron saint of Portugal. But around 1660-63, the church was renamed as St. Francis Xavier Church. After the succession of the Dutch, the church converted to Protestant and modified accordingly. Some of the interesting features about the church is the use of the large cloth fans, or pancas, that are operated manually from outside the church to keep the air moving in the hot weather. There's also tombstones on the walls and the floor. The Portuguese memorials are on the northern side and the Dutch on the southern wall. What did you see in there, honey?
Beautiful fort, built in the 14, let's see, it was 5 years before Columbus discovered America.
Wow.
1492, so that'd be 1487.
All right. We then left for our next destination. But for a moment, listen to our fun-filled tour guide. He kept us laughing.
Mural paintings.
Do we have to go?
Pardon?
Do we have to go in?
We have to go in. We are not spending much time. Before you get roasted, I will take you out.
One thing we learned is that there is a strong Catholic population here, and also many missionaries are providing much needed physical and spiritual help. Here is a statue of Mother Teresa by the side of the road.
One of the main attractions are the giant trees. Look at the trees coming on your right side. This is the tree we brought from South America, Brazil. Look at the tree on the right side I am stopping. That's our Christmas tree. Beautiful here. And you can see some people are standing under the second tree. If you go a little closer, you can hear the heartbeat. They're all coming for the driving license test.
On one of the street corners, we had an impromptu show from a snake charmer. For real. For $1, you could take his picture with the cobras. There were 3 of the cobras. The snake charmer would play the music and open the first basket, and then the second, then the third, so all of the snakes were dancing at the same time. Sure looked kind of dangerous to me, and I didn't pay the $1 to get my picture taken with the cobras. No, everyone seems to survive though, so couldn't have been too bad. Next, we stopped at the Chinese dipping nets, the system used to fish from shore. They take large nets and put weights on them and they're lowered into the water. And when it's time for the fishermen to raise the nets filled with fish, they use huge poles and levers to raise the nets. This was brought to India by traders from the court of Kublai Khan. We saw these on the way in when we first were arriving at Cochin. For $1, you can have your picture taking pulling the nets up. What an ingenious way to get paid while others do the work for you. This is also the area that has the fish vendors. There's no ice or refrigeration, and it did smell pretty ripe in the heat. There were many small vendor booths selling all kinds of souvenirs, mostly junk. There were men and women hawking wares following you, and most of them wouldn't take no for an answer. Kind of like gnats that were swarming. I almost think they were worse than the ones on the beaches in Mexico. We have now arrived at the Jewish settlement of Mattancherry. One of the very interesting buildings houses the Dutch Palace, an Oriental-style structure built by the Portuguese in 1555 AD, inhabited neither by the Portuguese nor the Dutch over the ensuing centuries. When entering the palace's wooden interior, you see a set of murals. In the royal bedroom alone, there are 45 murals depicting the great Indian epic, the Ramayana. The palace also boasts an interesting collection of Dutch maps, coronation robes belonging to the Maharajas, along with royal palanquins, weapons, and furniture. The bad part was the stifling heat, and the aging interior gave off a very strong, musty smell. It was, however, quite an adventure. Well, soon Flo found the Mattancherry area a great place to shop and ventured into several places to purchase gifts and souvenirs such as magnets and dresses for family and friends.
What are you doing, sweetie?
Trying on these shawls.
Oh, yeah?
This is 3 colors. Ring, earring, and we inlaid them.
Motorbikes and tuk-tuks moved quickly through the narrow path between shops, and one bicycle nearly ran right over Flo. It, again, was very hot, and she returned to the bus early to cool off while I roamed the streets shooting these videos for you to see.
It's funny, we have, my wife's niece is named Sherry and her husband is Matt. So they're Matt and Sherry. And this area is called Mattancherry.
Oh, is that right?
So I had to get a picture of Mattancherry.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Mattancherry.
I was surprised to find that my niece and nephew, Matt and Cherry, planned to welcome for me. How special. But our time in Cochin has finally come to an end, and we must board our bus and head back to the Crystal Symphony. Thank you, Cochin, for sharing your lovely city with us.